At 9:47 on a Tuesday morning in November 2008, Marlene Duvall read a single sentence on her computer screen. The company was eliminating 15% of its workforce. She was on the list. She had walked through those doors 28 years earlier, at 29 years old. That morning, she was 57, and her 401k, which had shown $340,000 in January of that year, had already fallen to $88,000. Marlene grew up in St. Martinville, a small town south of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, 60 miles from the coast. Her mother cleaned hotel rooms. Her father drove a delivery truck. She was the first person in her family to own a retirement account. She joined Pelican Chemical in 1980, at 29, working supply logistics on the plant floor. She was methodical. She was consistent. She was good with numbers. By 1995, she had moved into logistics management. Same department, different paper. She wore the same ID badge for 28 years. She parked in the same spot. She had outlasted 3 plant managers, 2 ownership changes, and 1 strike that lasted 11 days. Her husband James had died in 2003. She kept coming in. Her daughter finished college in 2007 with no outstanding loans. Marlene had covered it from savings. The mortgage on the house had cleared the same year. The 401k began in 1993. She contributed 6% of her salary. The company matched 50% in Pelican Chemical stock, standard practice along the industrial corridor. She left the match in company stock the way the enrollment form suggested. By 2001, she had made a separate decision. She moved her own contributions to 70% company stock. Pelican's share price had climbed from $6 to $22 over her career. She had the dividend history memorized. 3 of her colleagues had retired on that same account structure. 2 of them had left before 60, 1 at 58, 1 at 59. She had watched them go. She kept notes on what they had done differently. If you want to see how 28 years inside one company can end in a single morning, subscribe. Drop a like if this one landed close. Tell us in the comments how much of your retirement is tied to the company you work for. Back to Marlene. She wasn't uninformed about the risks. She was inside the information, and that felt like the same thing. In 2005, she moved her allocation to 80% company stock. She was 54 years old. She had 4 years left before her planned retirement date, and the logic, laid out on a printed spreadsheet, was sound. Pelican Chemical had paid a dividend every year since 1992, 11 consecutive years at the time of that decision. The Baton Rouge facility had expanded twice. It had survived the 2001 recession without a single layoff. She had the annual reports on a shelf. The company ran an employee stock ownership presentation every year. A projector, an HR representative, a slide showing 20 years of Pelican stock performance. The average annual return was 9.4%. She kept the handout. She met with a financial advisor once, in 2006. He reviewed her account and told her she was overconcentrated, too much exposure in a single position. She thanked him. She did not change anything. He didn't know Pelican's history. She did. She kept records in a 3-ring binder. Blue, 3 inches wide, purchased at an office supply store in 1998. January 2006, $198,000. January 2007, $241,000. January 2008, $340,000. The numbers had moved in one direction every year she had tracked them. The retirement plan was exact. Retire at 61. Sell the Camry. buy a smaller house near her sister in St. Martinville. Keep the vegetable garden she had given up when she moved north for work. She had the budget written out on a yellow legal pad. The stock hit its peak in March 2008, $31.40 per share. She held 8,642 shares. She knew the exact number the way people know their own phone number, not because they look it up, but because it stays. Spring turned to summer. Oil prices climbed, then crashed. Industrial demand along the Gulf softened. Pelican's quarterly earnings came in below guidance for the first time in 9 years. Management called it a market correction. The CFO went on a local radio program in August 2008. He said the company's fundamentals were strong. He said the dip in earnings was temporary. He had said similar things in 2001, and he had been right. She heard the program on her drive home, windows down, late August heat rising off the highway. The CFO's voice was measured, unhurried. She had heard similar language in 2001 and in 2003. Both times, the company had recovered. She arrived home and did not call her broker. By September 2008, the stock was at $22.10. She had seen it lower. In 1998, it had touched $14 and recovered within 18 months. She opened her account online once in September. She closed it without making any changes. This is the part of the story that stays with you, not because she was wrong to trust, but because she had been right to trust for so long, and nothing in 28 years had taught her otherwise. October 2008. The account showed $166,000. She checked it on a Friday afternoon, at her desk, at 4:12 p.m. The number sat on the screen for a moment. Then she minimized the window and returned to her logistics spreadsheet. She thought about selling 3 times in October. She opened the account each time. She looked at the shares, 8,642, now worth $19.22 each. Each time, she closed the screen without executing the trade. The reasoning was not denial. It was history. Every decline she had witnessed had reversed. The data ran in one direction across 28 years. She was applying the only model she had ever known to work. By early November, the stock was at $6.10. She had stopped tracking it. The market had become something outside her comprehension, a number that moved for reasons she could not map onto what she knew of the company. She had 28 years of correct data. She had reached the 29th year, and correct data is not the same thing as complete data. In 2008, the Employee Benefit Research Institute reported that 401k participants with more than 80% of their assets in employer stock lost an average of 55% of their retirement balance that year. Marlene's account lost 74. November 14, 2008. The company's restructuring announcement arrived at 8:04 a.m., company-wide. By 9:30, department-level emails had gone out. Marlene received hers at 9:47. She read it twice. She printed it. She folded it and placed it in the breast pocket of her cardigan, where she kept her notepad. She did not call anyone. She sat at her desk for 11 minutes, then went to get coffee. The severance was 60 days, health coverage through the end of February. She would receive a formal separation agreement within 5 business days. She signed it onto November 21st without having an attorney review it. The stock closed on November 14th at $4.80 per share. By December 31st, it was trading at $4.20. The account that had held $340,000 in January now showed a balance of $88,400. She ran the numbers that night at the kitchen table. At $88,000, with no income and no pension, retirement was not possible. She was 57 years old. She had been 4 years away. Medicare was 8 years out. Property taxes were due in March. The car payment was $287 per month. Her fixed costs had not changed. Only the column they were supposed to be drawn from had changed. She filed for unemployment in December 2008. The weekly benefit was $312. An outplacement service gave her a folder, a resume template, a list of job boards, a card for a career counselor. She thanked them and left. The blue binder stayed on the shelf. She did not open it for 3 months. The last entry she had written was January 2008. $340,000 in green ink, the way she had always marked the year. January 2009. She sent 47 applications in the first 6 weeks of the year. She received 4 interviews. 3 of the positions were 20 years behind her experience level. 1 was not. The interview lasted 40 minutes. The position was customer service coordinator at a regional distribution company. Not chemical, not logistics, not what she had built. The salary was 41% below her final salary at Pelican. She did not accept immediately. She waited 4 days. She called her daughter. She looked at the numbers again. The account, the taxes, the insurance premium starting in March. Then she called back and accepted. The account never recovered. The company did. By June 2009, Pelican Chemical stock was trading at $9.80. By December 2010, it was at $17.40. The company had completed its restructuring. The employees who had not been in the 15%, who had stayed through that winter, had seen their accounts begin to recover. Marlene Duvall accepted the position at the distribution company in February 2009. She started on the 23rd. She wore the same cardigan she had worn on her first day at Pelican Chemical, 29 years before. She has worked at the distribution company for 15 years. She is 72 years old. She is the senior coordinator in her department. She has not been promoted. She has not applied. She opened a new retirement account in 2010, diversified, index-based, small contributions, 4% of a salary that was 41% less than what she had been earning. The account holds $61,000. She did not buy the house in St. Martinville. Her sister moved north in 2011. The retirement plan, the vegetable garden, the porch, the specific version of 61 she had mapped out, exists only in a notepad she no longer opens. She talks about Pelican rarely. When she does not say the company was wrong. She says the timing was wrong. She says 28 years of data cannot prepare you for what happens in the 29th year. She is still working, not because she planned to, but because the numbers that replaced the binder require it. She does not say this is unfair. She says it is what the numbers say. She still knows the number. 8,642 shares. This wasn't the only time this happened. It made sense. At the time.